Knock, knock.
Oh, geez. Who's there?
Abby.
Abby who?
Abby New Year, Biff.
Oh, my God.
Okay. All right. How about this?
What
is the hardest part about jogging on New Year's Eve, Biff?
What is the hardest part about jogging on New Year's Eve, Jacques?
Spilling your drink. Spilling your drink. And with that, I like to say, Happy New Year, Biff.
Happy, well, yeah, sure. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Well, it is and it isn't. It is. It's New Year's Eve as we record this. I'm Jacques.
This is Biff.
And welcome to Carnival Personnel. This was going to be a sideshow, but I think it's going to be sideshow, regular show-ish, light on the regular show-ish. But
yeah.
But Biff and I had thrown around. We're definitely going to, within the next couple sideshows, do your movie thing. I've actually started working on that.
Oh wow!
Before this, I was going down our list of movies that we were hoping to see this year, and I saw about half the ones I was hoping to see, but then there was a couple I didn't know about that I saw. Next week I think I'll have a full list of movies I want to see in 2020. But right now I got a list of. Dude, it's just, I mean, we've been talking about this for 10 years now in the geek nerd world. What a golden age of entertainment it is with movies and television shows. And the movies and the television shows are only getting better in the geek realm.
Yeah, that's probably true, right? I mean, I'm not really in that world that much, but I get it. Yeah.
But the embarrassment of riches just in the Star Wars universe. I mean, just in the Star Wars universe alone, the Mandalorian was amazing.
Yeah.
Kenobi starting soon. The Book of Boba Fett started the other day. Yeah. Just in the Star Wars, thing. And then just on the Marvel TV side of things, or the Marvel movie side of things. I mean, the DC TV side of things. Yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches. But before we start, it was one of those things where about 2 hours before we start recording, we find out about the passing of the great Betty White.
I mean, so what the hell is that, right? I mean, it's 2021 is I'm not going to quite let you go scot-free just yet. Screw you all. It's nice.
Yeah, one more gut punch to ring in the new year.
One more. Yeah, just, what? It just wasn't crappy enough. Let's just do this one more additional thing. Fuck you, 2021.
So those Fathom events where you could see concerts in movie theaters or Broadway plays?
Yep.
Betty White had one scheduled for about 2 or 3 weeks from now, where they were going to play the document. I assume you've seen the documentary on her.
I have not seen it, but I know about it. Yeah,
it's great. But I think she was doing a live kind of hosting of that.
Okay.
For her 100th birthday, it was a big 100th birthday celebration. So as our good friend Joe always says, which is, a famous old saying, she died with dates on the book.
Right.
She truly had things scheduled, and she was still doing voice work. She would still pop up here and there.
I thought maybe, was it yesterday? I want to say that she was exchanging just garbage with Ryan Reynolds. I want to say. Oh, there was some Twitter stuff going on with Ryan Reynolds that I swear it was either yesterday or the day before. I saw stuff, involving her. So yeah.
I mean, just active in her activism with elephants and animals overall. She just lived this remarkable life. If you would like to, I would definitely, if you want to, we don't have to do it anytime soon, but if you get a chance to watch that documentary, love to do a sideshow of her. I will be rocking, my morning will include probably toggling through the 2 Golden Girl t-shirts I have.
Right. Well, and we kind of chatted about this, and it's kind of too bad that Joe's not here today, because I've been watching a lot of Buzzer TV and just noticing how ever present she had been in that game show circuit. Obviously her husband being a host on a couple of major game shows probably has something to do with it, but still, she was on a lot of things. And what I really liked about the game show circuit was that you kind of got to see more of the actual her, right? I mean,
right.
And obviously Susan Nevins is the person that I associate with in regards to TV, because I'm of that age, like much more than the Golden Girls. But Susan Evans is like the opposite of Betty White, right?
And it is funny because it's one of those things where our friend Paul probably remembers her from a completely different walk of life, whose name Paul's 93. And it's like, or John might have seen a lot of those game shows that she hosted. And early 70s, she was on, a lot of, her Paul Lynn, like that, Zsa, you can name like, there was probably 20 people who appeared on every game show, which is great.
Right.
But for me too, because I was a TV junkie early, that the Mary Tyler Moore Show is one of those shows where every time I think of what's my like top 5 favorite things or whatever, I never put that on, but then every time I think, it's like, oh, right, it is. And you look at that Murderers Row, that 1927 Yankee lineup. Oh
my God, that lineup was crazy.
Everybody on that show.
And like if Ted Knight doesn't, have a, like an untimely death, like he died young of a heart attack, like in the 80s. I mean, if that doesn't happen, I mean, he was another great talent, right? So you're talking about Ed Asner, obviously, and, obviously Mary Tyler Moore and the sideshows, right? Cloris Leachman and Valerie Harper,
Gavin McLeod.
Yeah, Gavin McLeod who did that whole Love Boat thing. It's just crazy. Yeah,
I mean, but her character on that, what a bitch, what an absolute
so horrible.
It's just the worst. And then you're right. Then 100%, the dingbat, from where was she from? A crazy name town. Wasn't she from somewhere like in Missouri? I'm trying to think of where her character was from the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I have some fun t-shirts. I have a pretty strong t-shirt game. I choose to wear the same, Batman t-shirt or Star Wars t-shirt, but I tell you, I never wear. I have this one Golden Girl t-shirt that I got on a road trip with the boys a few years ago. Honestly, we were stocking up by the Walmart at my cousin's, and it was like in a $5 bin. Yeah. And it's the best $5 I have spent in my life. I do not, and the people who will stop me to tell me how awesome my shirt is, or the and it ranges from the oldest to the youngest, like male, female. It is the best $5 I spent. But when it's 99, it's like it is. It's hard to because 99 is a pretty damn good run. You tell that to the 98-year-old, but
I know it's like,
but the thing is, I didn't know she had health issues. I don't know if it's one of those things. Is it really all of a sudden if you're 99, even if you didn't have things?
I mean, like, it kind of happened with Carl Reiner too, right? I mean, it's unfortunate, right? I mean, these people just hang around for so long and they're just great for so long, and even in their later ages they're doing so much, they're producing so much, they're active and everything else, and it's like even though logically you kind of understand it just kind of shocks you when it just kind of finally happens.
It's one of those things. Is it better to have known that they were battling something and you kind of get to brace? Because every time somebody dies over the last couple of years, everybody will tweet. It's like, quick, somebody put Betty White in bubble wrap. Quick, somebody.
Right. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, so. You also have the Norm Macdonald, who I guess I had no idea he was battling cancer for all those years, right? So. And I guess that was just generally not known, I guess. So, it is, those are, it is those, I mean, they're people just like us, I guess.
So Biff, how was the Christmas morning over at the household?
It was okay. It's like, we're at a point where like, we have no actual children in our household anymore. So it's like not the big deal that it used to be.
We got your Christmas card and management says to me, it's like, who's this grown-up who lives with Biff and Lori now? Who is this? This grown. This is the. I'm like, no, that's his kid. but he's not. He's he's a real person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
I'm fighting that, but Christmas here is still magical.
No, that's great. I mean, your kids are still at that great age where Christmas is something for them to really look forward to.
They're at their tipping, yes, because they no matter how much we go into the fall saying we're not going crazy this year, we're not. Okay, we're not going crazy this year, and then we go crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, they are.
It's all relative.
It is. And it's like, because I can't help it. I'll see something, the one the boys want. I'm like, okay, I'm just getting this. And they're good. We're good, right? We're good. And then she'll see something when she's shopping, or then like a new game came out like a couple days before, and it's like, oh, but they're at that tipping age where it's still magical. The magic is kind of there. It's fading a little, but they're kind of fighting internally to keep the magic going, but at the same time, not. So it's a precarious time. But for me, it's still magical. The best gifts, as always, came from you. The Hello Kitty gift box thing, and when
the random stuff, right?
And literally, did you stock up the last time you went to Japan? Did you just order from Japan?
It's these are actually stuff that's readily available from my my Japanese grocer, but I mean my Japanese grocer is actually pretty good. So
that's because she's like it's like all the instructions and whatever are all in the squiggly lines. So
that's it's the squiggly lines, right? No. Yeah.
But it's just the best. Of course, so I did to management what she used to hate. And I've told this story before. When our little guy was like 1, she bought way too many presents for a 1-year-old and way too many presents for a 2-year-old and was way too many presents for a 3-year-old. And I think it was when his third Christmas, she didn't understand, and I get it. She was so excited. The kids, but he would open up present 1 and be excited, and then open up present 2 and be really excited, and open up present 3 and be excited. But he really wants to play with present 2. But no, you can't play with that. You got this wall of presents you still have to unwrap. Right. And by present 5, it's work. He's punched the time clock. He's paid his union dues, and he's. So what I ended up doing is the month before Christmas, just not take his toys away, but I would take like one of his favorite lightsabers away, and one of his favorite capes away, and then I'll wrap that, and then so he would open a box, and it's all his favorite stuff that he hasn't seen in a month, and was so super excited. Like his favorite present was opening his presents that he already owned that he just haven't seen, and oh my god, it pissed her off. It just pissed her off because she spent so much time getting all this other stuff. So what I did for her this year is I usually just get a bunch of Sephora, Mac makeup. That's all she wants. I'm not I got her a stocking and this fun like little things in stocking like Spam. Like, and just, sure. And then of course the borderline racist stuff, like, there's always Spam in there and a Twinkie, you know what I mean? And she laughs and I laugh and the boys don't get it. It's like, why are you
the whole, like, whatever the banana and the Twinkie and the whole sweet. Yeah.
So she had all, but what I did.
Oh, for those who you don't know about this racist joke, it's yellow on the outside and white on the inside. Thank you very much.
Have you seen her dance? Dude, she's a white girl. I mean, she's, that the potato eating side of the lineage, it runs strong with her. I will say, sidebar, one of the things in the gift box that Biff said is these Hello Kitty noodles, which the little guy ate using chopsticks for the first time.
Why?
Oh, because she really likes it. I mean, every time she does something like that, she really kind of feels, and you get this. It's like, it's kind of a way she's connected with her mom and that side. If the boys use it and stuff like that. So that, that was really great. No, but, anyways, we Christmas was great. Oh, so this year, I took a lot of presents that she got last year that she never opened.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so I rewrapped those.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would tape one of the cards in there. So she might be a little pissed that the Dora Ring camera I got her last Christmas that never got installed.
Oh,
I rewrapped it, but So it's one of those things. So I'm trolling at the same time. I'm giving her a gift she really likes. Me, we went to a thrift store, and I don't want to brag how much.
Oh my God, is that the Viewmaster?
It's a Batman 66 Viewmaster.
Okay.
That I got for $3 for myself that I gave her.
Go.
I'm like, hey, one of the boys can give this to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm a hard guy to buy for. I don't want anything.
Yeah.
So it really works. Again, we had our great friend Renatezky stay with us.
That's cool.
It was cool. We had a great / awful trip to New York because the only awful part was the boys weren't able to sit at home and play their games nonstop and have to leave the house. So they weren't thrilled about that.
God forbid.
And it's one of those things where it's like, 20 some years ago.
I mean, but in their defense, New York's not the greatest place for kids, right?
Oh, yes, it is because, and this is why I really wanted to go to the Rock Center, even if we didn't skate, but just to go down to the rink, see the tree. And but it's one of those things. They're just like me. Once they got there, loved it. They love Times Square. They absolutely love it. If you haven't seen Times Square in a while, it is one of those things, especially at night and Christmas and stuff like that.
Well, I have seen it because, I go to New York pretty frequently. But having said that, compared to the Times Square that I grew up with,
yes, because I still have those memories. I still have those.
I can't get an alternate driver's license here anymore. What happened to all the shops?
Thank you.
What am I going to do with all these quarters that I brought with me?
But maybe I'll post a picture. So we're on the second floor of the M&M store.
Right.
There's a kiosk where you can personalize your M&Ms.
Okay.
And the 11-year-old is getting grandma personalized M&Ms for Christmas. My sister personalized M&Ms for Christmas, and himself some. And I take a picture looking at him, and I notice directly across the street, the window, you're looking right at a strip club. So, Times Square is 99% different, but there's still that one holdout. And I'm like, hey, we're in the M&M store. It's pretty wholesome. Oh, look at that. We're still in eye shot of, but so the funny thing is, and I was saying that to management, you can't turn on the TV this time of year, whether it's a Christmas special, a TV show, Saturday Night Live, anything, without seeing the tree and the rink. So it's one of those things where once they saw it, they're like, oh, I see this all the time. It's like, yeah, that's why we wanted you to see it. So you can have your picture taken here and you can tell your friends. It's like, and then we get home, and then a couple days later we watch, Hawkeye, the season finale, and it's all taking place. Spoiler alert, it takes place right at that rink, and the big Christmas tree is part of the storyline in it. And then they're watching it, they're like, oh, that's so cool that we went there. It's like, yeah, you assholes, this is what we always tell you.
Is Hawkeye getting his own show, kind of like a Squiggy spinoff? Is that what that is?
It was, let's see. So
you don't have to answer it, Jacques. I was,
well,
you don't have to answer it.
They left, they left it where, okay, there might be another season with him, or has he passed the mantle? And it's kind of an interesting thing that they kind of set up in that. I
think it's a Squiggy spinoff.
Hey, I liked the Squiggy spinoff.
Was there a Squiggy spinoff?
They actually,
for those people not old enough to know, there was a show called Laverne and Shirley, and there was these side characters called Lenny and Squiggy, and Squiggy was the lamer of the two side characters, and it's like giving him his own show. That's
fun fact on this, if you don't know this, they were writers on the show, and they wrote themselves in as a cameo thing, and people loved it. Like, it wasn't intentional that they were going to be, and then the producers are like, well, assholes, you're in the show now, so you're still writers. And then we did. So it was great. Renette got out here, and then she was here for a couple days. Then it was Christmas, and then the weekend before we went to New York City. It was great. A few days later, it's Christmas, and then the day after Christmas, we go skiing. Which I took the boys skiing February 2019. I'm sorry, February of 2020.
Okay.
2020. Right.
Before the pandemic.
Just before the pandemic.
Okay.
The worst. it was awful. It was the worst. There's a beginner ski mountain 20 minutes from us.
Okay.
20, 25 minutes. And a friend of mine had rented package and they're like, oh, they have this great deal. It's $200 for the whole season.
Right.
And so we went down, we got skis, pole, we got the whole thing. So it's like $600 for the three of us. You get there and we got like the day passes and they're not cheap. I mean, even though it's a little amount, it's still like $100 a person.
Yeah.
Didn't make it an hour. They were miserable. And I'm like, I'm never doing this. Then the ski thing came up and this was a free trip and everything was covered. So I couldn't really say no. And they had the asshole set on high and it was awful getting up there. The next morning, they loved the breakfast at the hotels where you make their own waffles, but going and renting the skis, the place was great. They were miserable. Getting the tickets was miserable. Then we had to take a gondola from Mountain 1 to Mountain 2, where the beginner mountain was awful. Once they got in the line and got on the chair, something happened, and they loved it. And a lot of it was there was two other adults with me, both of which much more patient with the boys than I am.
Okay.
So they were able to, I'm more like, just figure it out. Like, when my brother and I first went skiing with my stepdad, the whole lesson was in the chair up the mountain. He's like, when you get to the top of the lift, keep your tips pointed up and kind of stand up as the chair gets to the incline where and of course, both my brother and I fall down the incline, complete yard sale. Yeah. We get our skis back on and then our stepdad says, see you at the bottom of the hill, and leaves.
Right.
And it probably took my brother and I a half hour, 40 minutes to get
eventually gravity's going to take care of it.
Right. And we did. It took us half hour, 40 minutes to get down the hill. The second time down, we were having lightsaber fights with the ski poles as we were skiing down the hill.
Nice. Okay.
We figured it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and so I'm kind of that. Look, like you just said, gravity will take care of it. But they did. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Yep. And the whole deal was, cool. The wife's work family was like, hey, I know you have this week off, but if you come up for 3 days so we can go skiing with our kids, we'll pay for your whole family to come up they pay for everything. So we get up there, and the whole idea was we were going to do it. And then we were going to come home and she was going to stay there for 2.5 days and then drive home with them on you. And the second day there, we're sitting at the hotel pool. It's just, I'm in the hot tub, which was great after that. And the boys are in the pool. We're the only ones in the hotel using the pool and stuff. So it was kind of safe. She gets a text message that, it's a family thing. Her sister came out from Chicago with her fiance, and 3 kids, and the sister's fiance got a phone call saying, "Oh, yeah, the guy that you had dinner with the night before you flew out just tested positive." So the wife's boss is like, "So we're gonna stay here in quarantine. You can go home." And the wife just felt so bad. It's like,
oh my God.
And so she so they've since all tested negative, but it's one of those things where it's like, you just but that trip was a lot of fun, and now the boys can say they went skiing and they did it, and
right,
and they last about 2 or 3 hours. The oldest one has some legit medical things, so he can't do. He when he was done, he was done. He has some
right.
So, but he did it, and now he knows he can do it. And if it wasn't for his mom, and like I said, they were such assholes just getting the tickets. I was like, okay, why don't you and Renatezky go skiing, and I'll go back to the hotel 50-50 if the kids were alive.
Right.
And then on the way home, we stopped off at the Ben and Jerry's factory.
Right.
I sent you pictures. They have when I say they have a legit graveyard.
Yeah. That graveyard's pretty well known. Yeah,
dude, they're real headstones.
Yeah.
They're like real headstones. Like they didn't get like the cheap whatever. I don't know how cheap headstones go, but these are real gravestones and stuff like that. So that was it. Did you do anything special?
No, not work. No, I mean, so I worked during the week, but I mean, even during the weekend, really not. I mean, we didn't even decorate this year. We said, you know what? Nobody's coming over. If we decorate, we have to take it down. Yeah, let's just not do it. So, okay. I'm up for it.
Or you can leave it up all year. You can just leave it up all year.
I mean, part of it is that. So with Lori, with the wife, with the management, it's a little bit different situation because she grew up with Christmas. But as growing up a Japanese national, Christmas isn't really that big of a deal. And then the big deal is really the New Year's. But in any situation, this whole idea of decorating the house for an event really isn't a thing for my people. So it is not something that I'm motivated to ever do.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, one of the best things about getting the house is we get to be that house with way too many inflatables, way too many decorations.
That's fine. Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, absolutely love it. So we touched on, let's get into a couple of things. COVID, apparently it hasn't gone away. Like I said, it kind of hit home, but not really. I mean, the wife's boss. And it's one of those things where the boys, we've let them miss a little school because we've taken some trips. And I'm all for it. It's like, dude, it's, if you miss a day every few weeks because we're taking you skiing or you're going to see a historical thing, like last time Renatezky was in town, it's like we did all the Boston tourism thing. We did the tea party and we did, a couple other historical things. It's like, yeah, that's a fair trade-off. They've missed, a few days of school.
Yeah.
I would so like them to not go to school next week. and
I know, right?
Just because from the first week of school, we averaged 1.5 letters a week. Some weeks we get one letter, some weeks we get two. And each letter is, hey, one person tested positive or two people tested positive. But as we talked, the Lowell school system has the most people who've popped for COVID in the whole state.
Right.
After Thanksgiving, the 6 school days after Thanksgiving, we got X amount of letters that total like 14 cases, which their school population, there's 700 kids in the school. So just in that week, 14 is a pretty big number. And if you add up to that point, like some 20, 25 people had already popped. So you're talking 40 out of 700 kids have already popped. And with 10 days off, like I said, we went skiing. Vermont, there was masks everywhere. Even at the breakfast thing downstairs at the hotel, every other table was sectioned off. So it wasn't, you were on top of each other. You were next to people in the lift lines, but everybody had masks on. So we didn't stay at home and lock the doors and live in the plastic, but the boy from the bubble was John Travolta star in that movie, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble?
He did.
Was that an ABC?
It wasn't like it wasn't an after school special, but I think it was an ABC movie. I want to say because that was like Carter. Welcome Back, Carter was an ABC.
Yeah,
show,
yeah,
right? Yeah. I think
So we didn't do that, but we're relatively smart. But yeah, it's like sending him back to school. I just know. I mean, I don't want to be morbid and put a number on it, but there's no way within the first week going back that at least a dozen more kids or administrators and stuff like that. So, the town's doing what it can. They offer a free rapid test kits. They're like, hey, we have them at the school. Come get your rapid test kit for over the holidays. And, they have pop-up vaccination clinics at all the schools and stuff like that. Our kids are already vaccinated, but like they will vaccinate your kids at the school here, just flip, and we'll do it for you. But anyway, and there's a vaccination clinic 1.1 miles down the street from us. Hey, every time I go by there and I see a full parking lot, I'm like, good. You know what I mean?
It's. Yeah, I mean, but still, there's like people who are essentially resistant to doing this, right? I mean, so yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I'm at a point where I've kind of resolved to the fact that there's going to be people who will just not listen to this, they'll ask for the vaccination when they're on their deathbed and the guy's sticking the ventilator into, the doctor's sticking the ventilator into the guy's, mouth. And at that point, he's going to ask for the vaccination. Sure, that's fine. But I'm at a point where it's like, whatever.
No, and we are sadly 2 months away from being at the 2-year anniversary of everything shutting down. And at this point, if you're still doing your own research,
well, it's like and the time this is the weirdest 2 years in terms of like February of 2020 seems like yesterday, yet it's almost 2 years. It's like I just don't have I just lost the sense of time over the last 2 years, right? It's just time is just so screwed up the last 2 years.
It is. And you work at home and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's a lot. Yeah, there's so many things I never know. Speaking of home and speaking of the homeland, thank you. This week's clips the crime
reenactment,
wave,
right?
I got the animatic reenactments that I've been longing for. They're so awful. They really are.
Yeah. So the thing is, there have been other ones with reenactments, but the actual story itself was just so grim that I said, I don't want to put this one in because it's grim. But so there's 2 of them, right? But I guess the first one. So I don't know if you really figured this out, but there was this one where there was this guy that came into this, I think it was a 7-Eleven, but he went into a convenience store and sprayed the worker who was just basically rearranging things on the shelf. He had the spray bottle and sprayed the guy in the face with his spray bottle, and essentially a chase ensued. They didn't catch the guy. The spray bottle didn't do anything. I don't know what the crime. I guess it's a crime, right? Because it's some kind of an assault. But
it's an assault, yeah.
But it's not like in this country where you see the assholes just randomly spraying acid into people's faces. The spray didn't hurt anybody, so it's like,
what? Do they know what was in the bottle?
I don't. At the time they had not determined it. So
okay.
So that was the first one. And it was just, that's kind of cute. But I really love the second one. So
the driving one,
the driving with them with the bus, right? So if you saw, and you hopefully you surmise the fact that it was one of those situations where the bus ended up at one of those bus terminals, where they have these bus terminals at like often near like train stations or transit intersections, right? Where all of the buses kind of come in, and then there's just a bunch of these buses, right? And if you saw the graphic, which was beautifully done, obviously, the bus stops at the actual bus stop, and then you see the bus kind of doing like a half circle around to like the opposite block, and you see it stop. Now I know that they're talking in a funny language, and there's a bunch of squiggly lines, so you probably had no idea what they were talking about.
But I know it had to be important.
It was really important
because you wouldn't take up news time like that.
So, I mean, just remember, this is in the national news in Japan. So this is important shit, right? This is not like freaking some stupid stuff that happens, right? Because obviously, if it's on the national news during prime time, it's going to be important. So it turns out that coincidentally, the bus driver, one of the passengers of that bus happened to be the bus driver's wife. And so when they came to the actual terminal station, so he lets everybody out, right? Except for his wife. And him and his wife take that little half block drive around the block. And guess where they went?
To a makeout point.
Close. They went to Kentucky Fried Chicken. And they got lunch. And they brought the lunch inside the bus and ate it inside the bus.
Monsters.
And then,
monsters.
And here's the part this is the part that's heinous. Without putting his seatbelt back on, he drove the bus back to the original terminal area where he was supposed to pick up the actual passengers on the outbound, route.
And then what?
And then just pretend.
How long's the prison sentence? How long did they sentence him for?
Well, so first of all, the thing that's amazing is that somebody ratted him out. Like some person observed this and said, "Hey, this is kind of suspicious," and so they reported this guy to the bus company, and that's how he got busted.
Niches get stitches.
I tell you. But anyway, so obviously he got the heaviest punishment, allowable for this kind of a situation. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if it is. But he was actually deducted 10% pay for the day. So he actually got punished for it.
So that meal cost a lot of money. That's
the most expensive Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. And I'm not going to be that guy who says, his wife made him do it, because that would be sexist and wrong of me to do that. So I'm not going to blame her. But we know it was her. I don't know. I'm just being an asshole. You got any video game news?
Video game? No.
Did your roommate, your third roommate, or your other roommate get any video things for Christmas?
My third roommate.
The other grown up in the house.
No. He just gets his own stuff. I have no idea what he gets for Christmas.
Okay. Yeah, we got a bunch of same with us. It's like, okay, here's a bunch of gift cards to go to.
I do need to play Resident Evil though, because I did get that for the PlayStation 4. So
which one?
The second one, Resident Evil 2 redone.
That's great. That one is great. It's really, really, really great. No spoilers. Just run. Just if you're not sure.
I kind of know the premise of the game.
If you're not sure,
I mean, it's been. Granted, it's been. I have not played it yet this century, but.
And it's funny because. After playing it through a couple times, my oldest guy's like, "Why do you play with the sound down?" Because the sound is too fucking scary. like once.
So here's what used to happen. This is like 1994 or whatever the heck it was. 1993, right? I would play the original Resident Evil on I think it was on the original PlayStation, I want to say. And then I would start playing and then it would be like 1 o'clock in the morning. I say, "Holy crap, I gotta go to bed." And then it's like I'm just like wired. And I'm like scared to death because it's been scary. So I can't go to sleep. So I go back out and play some more. And then it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And then I get 3 hours of sleep and kind of waddle into work and say, "Hey, you don't look so well." So yeah, there were issues with these undead things and the Dobermans and yeah.
And so, I don't know if the game was always like that now. You can cheat and go, on the interwebs and check it out, but it's one of those things where, and it's management's favorite part of the game, especially when a new game. She loves to watch when we first get it.
Well,
they my little guy wants to go from room 1 to room 2 to room 3, to level A to level B to level, and you have to walk around the room and lift up every object that you can and look at the back of it,
absolutely,
every painting, and it's like, there's this 6-digit number on here. What the fuck is this? And then 20 minutes later, 45 minutes later, you're playing a game and you're in a room. It's like, and there's a safe.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, "Oh, damn it!" And then you got to backtrack. So I mean, I'm smart enough now to, not go to the second room until you look at everything you can.
Yeah, I am that guy that did that whole thing of and he used to drive the management bananas. "What are you doing?" It's just like, I just have to look through everything to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
And then I have a notebook, and it's like, okay, I'm just writing this, this down here. And the games are made so that they make you backtrack.
Well, part of it is that, so this is a difference between an American and the Japanese, right? Because this was made by the Japanese for the Japanese, and so it kind of, I think, feeds that kind of this. You have to be thorough in every place tendency that the Japanese have.
Right. And it also elongates the game.
Yeah.
If you want to do the clues thing, you want to go online, somebody will put the safe combination out there for you. But it's the fun part is figuring out the clues. It's like, that for me is great. And then so now we're going to get back into sports, or as I should say, get back into COVID talk.
Yeah. So
sports is all COVID all the time.
I will say this. So I guess the big news in the only sport that matters to me, which is that there's two big things, right? Number one is the World Juniors were canceled. And then number two is that the NHL players are not going to the Olympics. So that's the kind of the out in the front big issue. But I think the behind it all is that IIHF, like many of these international sporting organizations, is just a heap of garbage. And the reason why I say that is twofold. Number one, before this COVID outbreak canceled the World Juniors under 18 tournament for the males in Canada, they had already canceled the women's, and I don't know if that women's is the right rule because it's under 18, so it could be the girls, whatever. But the female under the 18 tournament was already canceled even before that, before any of this happened, which is complete garbage because so obviously they're not willing to try to put on a tournament for the females, but they're going to try to force through for the males because that is a big, income.
It's a moneymaker, right?
Yeah, it's a moneymaker. And so that already was, I mean, it's like, yeah, you guys are freaking garbage. And then it turns out that they wanted to go cheap, I guess, maximize the profits or whatever the case may be. So they had no real great provisions to properly isolate the players from the public in general. So we had these rash of COVID outbreaks. And it was clear that, hey, guess what? When you have teams with COVID outbreaks and they're playing each other, eventually all the teams are going to get COVID. So
that's how it works.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about? Because I think I saw it because you had forwarded Brad Marchand's.
Take. Well, so I will say this. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the idea that the NHL players should go to the Olympics. I think I have to think a little bit deeper on that, but in a way, I actually kind of was on that side of the fence where I thought, you know what? Why can't the NHL players independently just go on their own, right? And did I just hit that by? Oh, must be my internet. Anyway, so I'm okay with the NHL players going to the Olympics because that's what they want to do. And then because the CBA allows for them to do it, for them to just do it. And if during that time that they're in the Olympics, they're making up games, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a little torn about, the pros being in the Olympics, and that's a whole, that's a sideshow or 6 sideshows about the pros and cons of that. But to come out at this last minute and just say, that you're not going. Which look, I'm not going to use this as a pedestal again, but for the people who still think it's a hoax, all the money that's going to be lost, like globally, when these events get shut down, it's like, yes, the whole world is in on this hoax. It's costing the sports world billions. I mean,
right?
You and I aren't big college football guys, but how many bowl games were canceled?
Well, yeah, I mean, our friend, All-Star, his alma mater, UCLA, they had to essentially withdraw from the Holiday Bowl on the. I don't know how much that costs, but whatever that is.
Right. And so again, people out there are like, oh, this hoax and stuff like that. So it's like, yes.
Yeah. So I think there really is. I mean, if you think that this, so I think there's the people who think that this whole thing is a hoax, or this people who think that these vaccines are some way for governments to control. I mean, it's a pretty I mean, I think that these governments are essentially colluding to this point where everybody's kind of doing the same thing and saying the same thing, and it kind of weirdly, nations that are enemies to each other are kind of saying the same thing. So this is like the most elaborate, collusion ever in the history of the world, right? If it really is a collusion.
And in our text thread with the F&H guys and Joe, you were talking about, Detroit's the Red Wings on the outside looking in, but there's a chance they get into the playoffs that with the one holdout in the NHL. It's just one, right? It's just
right. He's the last one. Yeah. So up until like at the beginning of the season, there was 3, and then since then 2 of them have gotten themselves vaccinated, and there's one guy who just outright refuses with the last name of Bertuzzi, who, if you were an NHL fan, not a last name with a great history. So yeah, way to kind of stay on brand with your crappy family name,
dude. But like you said, I mean, yeah. If it's one thing to miss a regular season game, to not go up and play in Vancouver or Winnipeg or Montreal, it's another thing to sit out 3 or 4 potential.
Man. It's principles,
Yeah. And then even in the NFL. So here it is. I mean, we talk about it every week. Last week? Oh, what team was it? So in the NFL, you got a 53-man roster, but you can only dress 45 players for game day. And was it? Oh, I'm trying to think. Who did Miami play? Whoever Miami played, the Dolphins beat a team that had like 18 or 20 people out on COVID protocol, including players and coaches. And so it was like 12 players. It was like the head coach and the offensive and defensive coordinator were out. So truly, you were missing, a third of your roster players, or a quarter of your roster players almost, and your entire like upper echelon of coaching staff. And then this week, I don't know, because I don't follow it that much. I mean, the Patriots have done me a favor and lost the last 2 games. So they went from they're the best team, they're going to the Super Bowl, they're back, to they're probably not gonna. They might.
AFC is garbage,
right? But the thing is, it's like they beat Buffalo in a weird weather game, and I'm glad they won. It was great, but then they got their ass kicked the last 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, so it's come crashing down, which honestly has made my life more relaxing. But I don't know if the Minnesota Vikings are a playoff team or not. But Kirk Cousins just popped, and he's the quarterback of the Vikings. So you're going into the last 2 weeks of the regular season, and there's 32 teams, and right now I think 22 teams are in the playoff hunt. Like if you win your next 2 and somebody loses 1, you're in. So almost every team except for the Lions and the Jets are out of the playoffs, and because Kirk Cousins won't get vaccinated. Now granted, we know being vaccinated and even having the booster, it doesn't guarantee, but it surely helps a lot.
You know what? When it comes down to it, I really don't care about any of the personal decisions that they make. But what I'm laughing at is that the league has established different rules in terms of how quickly you can get back onto your team and stuff like that. And they're changing it obviously now, but there was the minimum quarantine period for vaccinated players versus unvaccinated players were different for the NFL, right? So in that sense, I know that this has cost teams potential wins, right? Because key players.
Stand by. We're experiencing some technical difficulties, but we'll return to the regular programming soon.
Where the hell were we? We were talking about Bertuzzi. I don't even know.
Yeah, we can wrap it up, but COVID is wreaking havoc in the whole world, no more than the sports world. College football is in chaos, and the NFL, we're going into the playoff season as things are surging everywhere. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the NFL does. What does the NFL do? Seriously, it's the Super Bowl, and Tampa Bay's in it, and Gronk and Brady and their coach are on protocol. Do they push the Super Bowl, or do they make a team play without its quarterback and its coach?
I don't think that's a movable event, right? I mean, you can't move that event, right?
We'll find out. But what does that do to the gambling in Vegas? I mean, would you place a bet now? I mean, you and I don't gamble anyways, but if you were a gambler, you're really gambling on gambling if you're going to place a bet on a AFC conference championship game, and then 2 days before half the team pops.
I think people are going to gamble regardless, right? I mean, that's the thing.
So enough of all that crap. Biff, let's get into some 2021 winding down stuff.
Oh my God.
Do you have any favorite thoughts or movies or TV shows of the year? Album, concert?
You know what? I'll say all all-female Japanese rock bands have done great this year. So nobody has heard of any of them, but I want to give a special call out to my two favorite bands, Nemophila and Gacharic Spin. But other than that, I haven't paid that much attention to like the media in general. So I haven't seen many of the movies. I have been advised by the pop culture expert in the family that I need to go see the new Spider-Man.
It's great.
It's excellent.
It's great. I looking forward to talking to you and maybe you and Joe about it when it comes out. It is great. We saw it on Christmas Eve. And then fun fact, if you go to a movie at 6:45 on Christmas Eve, you pretty much have the theater to yourself.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
Yeah. For me in 2021, I had set out some goals for, losing weight, which I came with, I did well. Like the last month I fell off the wagon a bit and I probably would have hit it. But honestly, and this sounds so stupid. My real target is Phoenix for Labor Day,
sure.
Memorial Day. So it's like, I wanted to hit 180 this year, which wasn't really realistic. That's 100 pounds, but I got under 200. And so I now got 4 months to lose the last 20. I also had some goals of, writing and comedy, and I did not do stand up in public, but I did some internet shows. But I did write a full script that I'm very, very proud of. I mean, I wrote the script. So it's funny. The first half of the year, I got all my writing in, for the year, but I put on 40 pounds writing that script. It truly almost killed me. Staying up to 6 a.m. and then doing the boys' school stuff and then eating like crap. But I'm very proud of the script. And then towards the end of the script and the beginning of the summer, I kind of met my quota with music. I mean, my buddy Dan doesn't want to play out anymore, but not that we really play out anyways, but we did record a new song.
Okay.
Which was great. It's great that we recorded it. Whether it's great, that's very subjective. I think it's
always.
It's a typical Dan song where it's just, I liken it to Short People. A song where if you listen to the lyrics are, the song's called Build the Wall. And it's all about the importance of building the wall.
Sure.
But from a different perspective, you know what I mean? And it's like the song Short People. It's like, the people who got upset about that didn't realize that the whole song was, it's just as stupid to hate somebody because they're short than if they're black.
Well, it's Randy Newman's one of those misunderstood songs.
And he's 5'1". He's 5'1", 5'2".
I mean, come on. I mean,
but that's the thing.
The fact that I love LA is the fact, the Lakers and the Kings have used them.
Stand by. We're experiencing some technical difficulties, but we'll return to the regular programming soon.
We trying this again?
Did we talk about Betty White yet?
Oh, good one. All right. So, dude, it's the most, like I just said to you, it's the most 2021 thing to keep crashing on the last day of the year on our last podcast.
My God.
So we can just wrap it up. I have some goals for this year for, again, I don't know if it's a goal. I just hope to travel. My biggest wish for 2022 is that I get to work, that I get to do some either USO or Armed Forces in-person tours, that I'm on a plane at least a half a dozen times. I'm really hoping that, management, she's been looking for it for 2 years. For 2 years ago, she got tickets to Duran Duran's 40th anniversary in Ibiza, and that's in April. And we're supposed to go to London to see Duran Duran and the Pixies in July. And then after that, I'm planning on driving out to LA. Our good friend Al, it keeps telling me that I have to come out with the boys and start doing extra work with him, that it's crazy how much work. And I can't tell if he's serious when he's like, dude, you have to come out here. He works all the time. And but management, she signed a year contract, but we're really thinking about like relocating. But, I at least want to spend 3 or 4 weeks out there this summer. I want to get in 3 or 4 F&H's. Want to spend some time with Paul. So I do. I have some travel things, some work things. I met most. I will say, I came close to my weight goal. I did my writing goal. I did my drumming goal. I didn't meet my work goal because most of my work is still not back yet. Because it includes international travel.
I mean, I was looking at actually before this Omicron thing came in. I was looking at, I should start looking at maybe going back to Japan in the spring, and then with this Omicron, they really shut down the borders. And I can go back because I'm a Japanese national, but it's this thing where I have like a 3 to 6 day quarantine in a state designated facility while I go through the initial screening. And if I'm okay, I have 14 days of additional quarantine in my residence. It's like, that's just not.
Did you have a month to go? Can you be gone a month? Because that's what it would take, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, in theory, I could just work from Japan, right? But still, like, come on, So, yeah.
Before we move on too much, streaming things, you had a couple things on there.
So one of the things, Pui Pui Molcar, I wholeheartedly recommend that to anybody. If you just need a release from the everyday doldrums of all of the garbage that is 2020 and 2021, it is essential. These are 3-minute shorts, and what they Netflix did was compile 3 episodes into one. So it's roughly 10 minutes per episode, but each episode is actually 3 episodes, and it's wholesome. It is just goofy, and it is So if you just want something that will just give you that release, that does, just if you just need some kind of a relief from garbage, I wholeheartedly recommend Pui Pui Molcar. The other one is Aggretsuko. It's actually aggressive Retsuko in Japan. Do you know about this?
No, aggressive what?
Retsuko is the name of the character. It's actually a red panda that is working in a Japanese company. And she's a typical Japanese.
I do know it.
Yeah.
The boys fell into it a couple years ago.
Well, it's a Sanrio thing, right? So it's basically the same people that create Hello Kitty,
right?
Make this stuff. So essentially, her release is singing death metal.
I gotta find, and I'm not kidding, if I could remember this by the time I go from the basement upstairs. The little guy really got into that show, and I think we bought him like a collection of socks. Like it came in a pack of like 8 pairs of socks, and each pair was a different character from that show.
Yeah.
And they were all animals, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah, that we do have socks from that, but I will revisit that. Is that also Netflix?
That is also Netflix.
Writing that down. So it just dropped the other day, and I started watching it, and management was there with Renatezky, and she was like, "You got to stop this. I don't have to," and I was just watching it for me. She kind of was picking up on it. She's like, "No, we have to watch this together." It's a documentary about Bob Einstein.
Okay, right.
It hurts.
Yeah, you touched. Yeah.
Oh, it hurts so. It's so funny, like that dude, and then you hear the history of it, and you see his first appearance on TV, and you have people like David Letterman and Jerry Seinfeld just flaunting over him.
Yep.
And from his first appearance on TV, which was just kind of, I won't spoil it, but he wasn't in the business, but he had a connection and he went on TV, and I lost Biff. And so is this still recording? Let me see. So we lost Biff. I think this is the 4th time. So I'm going to wrap up the final podcast. It's just hysterical. It's just too hysterical. It's too perfect. It's been a great week, but a shitty day losing Betty White and Biff being plagued with tech problems. Usually I'm the one with tech problems. I might have tech problems. Who even knows if I'm talking to the ether right now and this is even recording? I'm not really sure. But I will wrap it up by saying, watch those shows that Biff just suggested. Watch the Bob Einstein thing. Let's see, Biff, what the again? I'm just getting text from Biff. What the fuck? I'm disconnected again. Joe just text, newsflash, all year sucks from now on. Anyways, so I will say Happy New Year to everybody. Go watch the Bob Einstein thing, watch the Beatle thing. My favorite TV show of the year, I think, was either Loki or Hawkeye, or maybe it was Cobra Kai, or maybe it was, I'm trying to think of some of the other things that the wife and I like really watched together and loved. You know, of course, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, all that stuff was great. Next year, again, we just spoiled with another Thor movie, Black Panther, of course, Batman, Doctor Strange, Uncharted. Buzz Lightyear looks great. You know, Echo as another Marvel show coming out, and Kenobi. So we're spoiled. Here comes Biff. Maybe we'll try to wrap it up one more time. Still says we're recording. Just waiting. So I don't know if Biff can hear me. It looks like he's trying to log on, but he said go ahead and wrap it up. So I will finish by saying thank you to All-Star and Taylor and Joe and the other people who listen on a regular basis. Of course, thank you to Biff for helping keep this going. When Joe wanted to take a hiatus, it's been a little different and fun in so many different ways. It's always the best when Joe and Biff were on together. The show would be much, much better if it was just Biff and Joe. I think that's a unanimous opinion that the show would be much better with just the two of them. But seriously, thank you. It's been a shitty year. It's been a great year. First year of Biden's administration, of course, hasn't been a fraction of what we had hoped. Thank you, Joe Manchin. But the world is a better place now than it was a year ago. I wish everybody the best of health and happiness in 2022. I will say my parenting tip of this week, getting back to the ski trip, is if you can do outings with your children, and they go a lot better if the more patient and smarter of the parenting units can make the trip with you. You know, that being management. So this ski trip was 1,000 times better than the last one because she was there and she made it awesome and she dealt with all the boy shit better than I do. So that's my parenting tip. Going out on the song Build the Wall that Dan wrote last year that we recorded. Hopefully we can record 2 or 3 more songs this year. Hopefully I see Dan more. Hopefully I see John more. Hopefully I see my buddy Rod more. It would be absolutely great to jam more. But anyways, I hope everybody has a great 2022. Thank you for listening to me babble on and on, especially the last part of this podcast. But above all else, do not forget. Building a wall, save us from rain.